We talk about the biggest OTA storylines, the latest on the Caleb drama, and also more about Trey Hendrickson and many other things next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
I'm going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. And also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. What is going on, Bears fans? Jam-packed show today because there's all the stuff going around with Caleb, the Arlington Heights news, Trey Hendrickson, many other things that I want to make sure that we kind of get through today. So jam-packed full. So let's just get right into it, shall we? And let's talk about some of the OTAs. Right now we have practices going on as of right now. So we get some amazing little videos from the Bears social media team, which just keep these coming, social media team, because all we want to see is more Bears just playing. Like the one that I'm showing right now, just a quick little video of DJ Moore just catching a pass and then running with Antoine Randall. This is the stuff we love. This is the stuff we want to see. We want to just see more stuff like that because, man, it just makes it feel like it's Bears season, right? Just makes it feel like, you know, just that football is getting at least somewhat close. And that's all that we really want to see out there. But also, too, we're hearing just more things about how Ben Johnson is running these practices and what he's asking of his players. So Tyson Bagent actually was getting interviewed, and what he had to say about the difference between Ben Johnson and Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, all those, is he said the big difference about Ben Johnson is he tells you what you're responsible for rather than trying to break down the defense. And I think that that's a really good way from like a leadership perspective to go about this, because something, if anyone's in a leadership position or goes to leadership training or just how to convince someone, just start with the why, right? And I think that's the thing is like with Ben Johnson, starting with, this is why you're running it. This is what you're trying to do without jumping immediately to, hey, if it's cover 3, do this. If it's this, do that. So good stuff. Just everything that you hear about Ben Johnson, the more, the better. So let's get into just some of these storylines to watch out for because OTAs are coming up. Schedule is always kind of crazy with what's actually going on. Supposedly, it's supposed to start on May 20th, but at the same time, we have all these videos kind of coming out, so I actually do not know the exact dates. The latest dates that I saw were out in April, released by Courtney Cronin, saying that, hey, they'll be practicing on the 20th. So we'll just keep you updated with just what is going on. For those that are watching on YouTube, you can see a little drill that the running backs were running out there. But really, I want to just talk about some of the stories that I want to start watching as OTAs commence. And if you're out there on YouTube, let me know. Are there certain storylines that you're looking forward to that you just want to hear or see more of? Because to me, what everyone's watching right now is the running backs doing quick little drills. And to me, this is one of the biggest kind of storylines to watch out for, because when you look at who the running backs we have on this roster are, just flip over to this graphic, it's not saying that I think Kyle Monangai is going to be the starter. But there's a really good chance that Kyle Monangai can steal a lot of those Roschon Johnson roles. And yet again, this team is going to be built on the run, built on running the football. And what we know about Kyle Monangai, very feisty, very hard-nosed runner, can also pass block. We know Roschon Johnson can pass block, and he's a nice battering ram, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Also at the same area, not saying DeAndre Swift would be overtaken or anything like that, but DeAndre Swift, he's got to find the holes and go through it, something that he's always struggled with. Now, he's definitely going to have a better season than he did last season, but with Kyle Monangai, we don't need somebody that's this crazy superstar of a running back, because it was clear that the Bears wanted one, but right now, with what you have, you just want someone that can run the system. So to me, Monangai is definitely somebody that I'm looking out for. He's not going to be winning the job or anything like that in OTAs, but he's definitely a good name to watch out for, because people were already commenting when they were seeing these reps. Monangai's quick out there. And it's like, yeah, he's got quick feet. He's a lot of people are kind of sleeping on that factor. But the running back room, I think just overall is good. And when you look at who's a free agent, I just don't think that there's going to be somebody that gives you something that is just next tier over some of the running backs that you already have in this room. So now there's 3 more that I'm looking at as well. And I'm going to stay on the offensive side because the last little bits that I want to talk about, for one, is just the left tackle battle. Now, I have said that I still feel like Braxton's going to be the guy unless that injury is more severe than expected. Now, Braxton's not going to be, as far as we know, Braxton Jones is not going to be out there practicing. But that creates a great opportunity for Ozzie and also even Karana Magaji to go out there and play. And it's more so my question on Karana Magaji than anything else, because he should be healthy. Keyword should. He should be healthy. He should be able to develop. And that's someone who I really want to see. Can he take that next step? Because like we said, when the Bears drafted Ozzie, Ozzie's a very smart, intelligent player. Very high floor, but, perception is maybe lower ceiling. Well, Karana Magaji has all the measurements. He's got all the speed. He's got all the power. He's got all this potential. But there is a chance that what we saw is what we get. Now, I'm hoping that's not the case just because of, he needs to get some practice reps out there and understand the system. And then I feel we'll see a better version of him. But that's why, to me, the left tackle position is something that I at least just want to kind of see what people are saying, who's kind of getting some of the snaps, other things like that with some of the OTAs. How does everybody look at that left tackle position? And then now I actually want to switch over to the defense. And there's 2 other ones, and then we'll get into some of the other news. So on the defensive side of the ball, just 2 little spots that I want to be watching out for. For one is the Sam linebacker position. That was always the position that was held by Jack Sanborn, but now it might be Ruben Hippolyte. It's going to be Ruben Hippolyte versus Noah Sewell, as far as we know, at that Sam linebacker position. Who knows? Maybe Amen Agbamiga goes in, or Carl Jones, but it really does feel like it's going to be Sewell versus Hippolyte for that Sam linebacker role. So my big question, is Sewell even going to be out there? He's been one of these MIA types of players throughout minicamp, throughout OTAs, throughout his career as a Chicago Bear. And last but not least, there's a photo out there. I do not have the actual photo of this, but a lot of people saying, they're like, hey, did anybody see Austin Booker out there? He looks a little bigger. So Austin Booker, it looks like he added a little bit of weight. But the big question is just mainly that defensive end spot. Daniel Hardy, lightweight type of a defensive end. Austin Booker was also relatively light, but very, very good frame. And yet again, the backups. Booker and Hardy are your backup defensive ends. And supposedly Shamar Turner is not going to be a defensive end. Sounds like Javon Dexter, not going to be a defensive end. So with all these different pieces, that's where what is going on at that defensive end spot, which we'll talk a little bit more about Trey Hendrickson later on. But that's why Booker to me is someone I do want to watch out for. Just, it appears he's larger. Let's listen to see maybe if he's doing an interview, is he going to talk about adding some weight or other things like that? Or if you're listening and you are in the media, ask them about that. Is he going to get more weight? Why don't we have a good backup at the defensive end spot? So now as we continue to go through, let's talk a little bit about the Caleb Williams drama. And I'll sit back in my chair a little bit because I don't want to talk about it too much. I think that most of us Bears fans, like when we heard this, it was just kind of a little frustrating because with the whole Caleb Williams drama, it was just almost like an eye roll. It was like, seriously, like everything felt like it was going in the right direction. Everything felt like it was doing well. And then all of a sudden this comes out and it's just frustrating more so than anything else. And for those, I'm pretty sure everybody's kind of heard it, but my whole take on this, I just want to call a couple little points out before we continue on with the show. For one, as most Bears fans have said, yeah, like he has every room for concern about going to the Chicago Bears. And he was right about everything, all the concerns that he felt about the Chicago Bears, saying that, hey, I don't like the coaching staff. And he felt like he wasn't going to be able to do what he needed to with his coaching staff. He was right. And, now with everything, it's about moving forward. And I think that the reason why it was so frustrating is it just kind of brings up the past. It does confirm a lot of the rumors that were actually fluttering around during that time about, hey, Caleb doesn't want to be here, or his dad is trying to get him out. His dad was trying to get him out of Chicago. So all that stuff is true. And all the quotes that we're getting are straight from Caleb Williams and his dad. So it's not any room of speculation. That's what they're saying. That is literally what they said. So my only last two bits. One, why release the statements now? Obviously, the guy has to sell a book. But for Caleb Williams, what's in it for him to release this information? Because, two, this kind of feels like if you're dating someone and you thought that their friend was hot, and you texted your friends, you thought the girl that the friend was hot before you started dating your now current girlfriend or whoever it might be. And then your friends send your current girlfriend hey, did you know that he thought your friend was hot? It's right. It's just something that you just don't say, right? After you're already in a relationship with someone, you don't want to know about everything else when you were single and trying to find a spot to land, so to speak, trying to find a team to go with, because everyone would like the Minnesota Vikings, because anyone that has met Kevin O'Connell is this guy is a great person. This guy is also a very smart offensive coach. So I understand as the reasons why he wanted to go to Minnesota, but now he's with the Bears, right? It's forget that, hey, he thought that, hey, Vikings look good. They're an attractive destination. I might want to go there. But right now he's with the Bears. And the big thing, if I'm Caleb, I'm just going, yeah, but we're here now. And we have Ben Johnson and we have this amazing team. And that's the thing that made it different. And now the whole thing, it's all about Caleb and not liking the Bears. And then there's only two lines that literally says he met with the Bears and then he wanted to be that difference maker for Chicago. He wanted to be that person that can flip this franchise around. And that's what's key. And I think that is the thing that with him, with Ben, they are two people that are, like we said, blue chip prospects when they're coming out, one as a coach, one as a quarterback, but they can make this thing different. And I think that's the thing to take away. So for us Bears fans, it's kind of turning the page. I still don't know why Caleb would even want this stuff to come out. But one thing's for certain, this has to work. This relationship has to work. But also, too, I think because of all the hearing and what's going on, Caleb's a businessman, right? He wants to make a lot of money. So he's not going to come cheap when it comes to Chicago. I feel like that. So, but hey, baby steps. Let's get a 4,000-yard passer and let's make this happen. So, speaking of other little storylines, let's talk about Arlington Heights. For those that watch this show know that I'm not a big stadium person. I don't like talking about it, because it's just going back and forth. It's just politics. It's Kevin Warren just being a boss and saying hey, I'm going to try and get the best deal that I possibly can, because we're talking about millions and billions of dollars that we're going to be spending. So now all the newest is, hey, it looks like it's going to be Arlington Heights. It's always felt that way because they literally own the land. You own the land, you want to own the stadium. And since Chicago can't give you that, on the lakefront, it's always made sense that Arlington Heights is going to be the spot. Can we just get some shovels in the ground and just move on with our lives? That's how I feel with the stadium talks and everything like that. But enjoy Soldier Field while it lasts. I just don't see them potentially staying there. But next, now it's the stuff that I think a lot of people want to care about. It is the Trey Hendrickson piece. And actually, sorry, one more thing about the Caleb drama. The person that released the book too, and this is probably one of the biggest things to consider, he went on to ESPN 1000 and was interviewed, did a whole bunch of series of interviews everywhere. And the key thing is he's yeah, Caleb's happy now. Caleb is a happy person right now because we saw what the coaches did. They weren't even trying to do tape with him. And that's the key thing. He's happy now. So move on, right? Move on, go through and make something special happen with the Chicago Bears. So now let's move on to Trey Hendrickson, and more details can kind of popped out about Trey Hendrickson with the Chicago Bears. Brad Biggs was asked about this, about the potential, and he said he kind of shot down, like, if it was a first round pick, he's like, yeah, Bears won't be interested. But then, asked about if it's not a first round pick, he said, if the Bengals asking price in a potential trade is a second round pick and maybe later, or maybe another later round selection, I still would be surprised if the Bears made a move. Still would be surprised. Hendrickson turns 31 in December. He's angling for a third contract, which he certainly has earned, but the list of players who get expensive third contracts and then deliver value isn't a long one. Now, that's Brad Biggs, one of the most plugged in Bears insiders, talking about this, but also too, like we've talked about this on the show, anytime there's rumors, where's it coming from? I know NFL Rumors, the Twitter account, is saying, hey, I've heard this, but there's not really any sources behind it. But what we do know is Bears do need an edge. Also, Ryan Poles likes trading away draft picks, and also Dennis Allen played or coached Trey Hendrickson. Now, Trey Hendrickson really didn't have a lot of success with the Saints. It was only like 1 year, or like 1.5 years. So we just kind of assume that there's at least a relationship there. But the negatives, the ways that it's probably not going to turn, kind of like what Brad Biggs was talking about, he is in fact going to be turning 31. Now, edge rushers can last a little bit longer than other players. But also too, like for the Bears, they just simply don't have a lot of cap space. So if they were to make this happen, Bears are one of the worst teams in cap space right now, which feels weird to say. They don't have anything. They have like $7 million, which is what a normal team usually goes into the league with. So in order to trade, they would have to get rid of some players or restructure contracts, which we just have not seen Ryan Poles done. It's not impossible. It's not like it would never happen. The Bears could make this happen if they really wanted to, but we haven't seen Ryan Poles ever restructure deals. So because of that, that's why to me, it's still unlikely. It's fun to think about because we need them, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think something that would potentially happen is maybe going the free agent route, bringing in, the Bears wanted Matt Judon, or like even like a Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith. Some of these bigger name probably can get them more on the cheap if you want some other person to kind of come back in. Maybe Von Miller would be cool, but yet again, not a lot of cap space. We're just going to have to see how things shake out, but really that's not going to happen until a couple months down the road, as we start to see just everything that's in play for the Bears so that they can see who they have out there on the field. All right. And we've been going strong for about 20 minutes now. So the next piece that I want us to go through is just kind of put a little bow on the whole schedule, because we talked about the schedule. We talked about what we kind of thought about it. And I was listening to other people talk about the Bears schedule. Now, a lot of us, what I thought was kind of funny is like when I did it, I didn't really hear anybody else's predictions. But as I was listening to more, I feel like us as a whole unit of Bears fans, we're cautious, right? We're like, people are saying, it's exactly what we were saying on this show, where I'm like, I think that the Bears can split most of these games, and then it's going to come down to one. And everyone seems to have the Bears 8-9 or 9-8. Like it always seems like it's most shows that I was listening to, 8 or 9, 9 or 8, 8 or 9, 9-8. We're going to be 8-8. And it depends on the Detroit game at the very end, or the 49ers game, stuff like that. I feel like that's a safe, like we're trying to be cautious, but at the same time, if Ben Johnson is that coach, is that great coach, I feel like you could have a Matt Nagy type of an effect where, Ben Johnson, favorite to win coach of the year this year. Yet again, we also had Matt Eberflus, favorite to win coach of the year last year as well, and maybe even the year before that. But really, Ben Johnson, if he can come in and make it sounds weird saying this, a Matt Nagy-like impact, this team should be double digits. It should easily be that. So that's something to at least think about. But also too, as we look at this schedule, I actually brought this up as we were going through it, where we have the bye week in week 5. Now, Ben Johnson was actually asked about this on Colin Cowherd and about the whole early bye week. And Ben Johnson said, I actually like where that bye week is because it usually takes about 4 weeks into the season to find out who you are as a team, what you do well, what you don't do well, and that's a good time so we can reflect on that as a coaching staff. Now, Ben Johnson is not going to openly say, I hate it, I'd rather have it later, but this is something that we did bring up on the show as a potential benefit of having an early bye week, just because with this team kind of finding their groove, it might be good to just, hey, you have 4 weeks, you go through it right up there, and then after that, you then make your adjustments, and then you keep moving forward. So that could be a good spot. Obviously, it just all depends on what is going on with the actual season. But the last little bit that we'll go through is just the rest differential with the Bears. This is officially out from Sharp Analytics. And the Bears are towards the tail end. They have a -4 rest differential. Now, for those that don't know what rest differential is, or rest edges as they call it, it's basically the number of games that you have more than a day's rest with versus an opponent. Now, because of the Bears' schedule with having, 2 Monday night football games, and then also having a Saturday night, also Sunday night, and also a Friday night, there's a couple little differences in the rest differential where when we look at this, the Bears have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that they have negative rest differential. Does not mean that they're going to lose it or anything like that. And the Bears only have, 2 games. Wait, let me just put my right on the line. There you go. 2 games with positive rest differential. Now, the positive rest differential, I don't have the exact games for that, but whenever you see +7, -7 on those graphics, it usually means that it's a bye week. So Bears having +7 off the bye because the Commanders don't have their bye week, but also a -7 because one of the teams playing them will be coming off a bye. But also, too, they have another only one other game that's a +2 rest differential. But other than that, so negative, they have -7, then a -3 game, and then 3 -1 games. So my guess is that a lot of those games are the ones after the Monday night games, and also after the before the Saturday game or anything like that. So a couple things, I don't have the exact dates or anything like that, but at least good to see that, hey, Bears have a -4 rest differential with 5 negative games and 2 positive games. Not the end of the world, not anything like that. But also the last little graphic that I just also want to show is in weeks 1 through 8, the pass efficiency, or the projected pass efficiency of the defenses that the Bears will face. They're actually one of the most difficult teams of pass defenses that they will face. So the Giants have the hardest, then followed by the Rams, Chargers, Raiders, Buccaneers, Colts, and then the Bears. So the Bears kind of in that late 20s type of a range from one of the more harder first 8 weeks when it comes down to pass defense. So what does that mean? It's Kyle Monungai season, ladies and gentlemen. We got to run that football. We got to block some people. It's going to be a good time. So if you're out there on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. Helps out the channel tremendously. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell too, so you know when we go live next. And you can always download the podcast. Just search for Unbearable Sports on Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can find us out there. So y'all, thank you so much. Have an amazing week. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad chick.